All right, and we're live. Week 6 is upon us. You're either feeling really good or really bad about your season right now, but more importantly, we have a lot of injuries to go over and kind of stay tuned for because we have Melvin Gordon as a Monday night game. So you're going to have to make a decision before the 1 o'clock on Melvin Gordon, which is a situation that I'm in for 2 of my leagues. And then we have other big name players like Jonathan Taylor missing once again. So let's just go through this underdog chat and make sure, or underdog news feed, and just get up to date on what's going on. Yeah, okay. All right, so Alexander Madison active for week 6. You're not playing Alexander Madison, and you're definitely playing Dalvin Cook, so this should not affect you at all. Wan'Dale Robinson is someone you should be trying to pick up on waiver wires because they basically have no one else left in the receiving core that they like. For whatever reason, they don't like Kadarius Toney. Kenny Galladay is, I'm pretty sure he's out with injury, but even if he wasn't, it wouldn't matter. Slayton is a good pick this week for DFS. You probably get him super cheap, and he's going up against the Ravens defense, who let up a decent amount of points, or actually a really good amount of points to the wide receiver position, or just the passing game in general. So Wan'Dale Robinson is someone that I don't think you should play him this week, but it's someone you want to stash and kind of keep on the back burner for the future. Raheem Mostert active. This is someone you actually could be playing. Actually, it's someone you should be playing. If we go to our rank. Actually, we don't have them. We have the wide receivers. I was going to look at our rankings, but we only have the wide receivers in right now. But Raheem Mostert is actually a very solid play because we have the third string quarterback who was an undrafted rookie starting this week in front of Tua and Bridgewater. So I think that they put the ball in Raheem Mostert's hands quite a bit. So I think he gets plenty of work. And let me go ahead and pull this up while we're at it as well, just so we're staying fresh. Oops. So we're staying fresh on all of the latest and greatest stats. There we go. All the latest and greatest stats. Okay. So, if we go and look at Raheem Mostert, it's going to be a full PPR. This is a great resource, by the way, lineups.com. You can get all the information on the opposing defenses and the points that they allow by position. So, we have running back selected. We could go ahead and select ESPN since that applies to us. We have full PPR, and we're talking about per game. So, if we go down, Vikings, and they're looking like they let 24.7 fantasy points per game to the running back position, which is the matchup that Raheem Mostert will be in. So this is a guy you definitely can go ahead and play this week, and actually you should be playing him. Chris Olave, inactive. Really? That's actually news to me. So it's looking like we have Jarvis Landry active again, and we also have Michael Thomas active as well. Is it Michael Thomas? He's improving, but will be out Sunday against the Bengals, which should be this week. Okay, so Jarvis Landry and Alvin Kamara are all of a sudden a smash play. Now that we have Chris Olave out, let's see if Jameis Winston's in, because that's also someone that will affect some fantasy value. Jameis Winston is expected to suit up as backup quarterback for Sunday's game. So, with Jameis Winston being the backup quarterback, this means that Taysom Hill is actually a really good play this week with Chris Olave missing, Jameis Winston not in as quarterback. So, the only weapons here really are Jarvis Landry, Alvin Kamara, and Taysom Hill. So, I think any of those guys you can actually throw into your lineup. Jarvis Landry is someone that we pretty much are never throwing in our lineup. But with the given wide receiver situation that he's in, which basically means he's the only one available right now, I think that you can have the last man stand in as a starter pretty comfortably, going up against the Bengals defense, who are actually pretty good against the wide receiver position in fantasy football. But either way, I still would be okay with you starting Jarvis Landry here. Okay. Hayden Hurst is active. Somebody you can start. You probably are starting him at this point, but I don't know. Your hands are probably tied if you have to start Hayden Hurst. Jacoby Myers, I've said it once, but he's basically a poor man's Deontay Johnson, meaning he just gets tons of targets. So him being active here, you can definitely go ahead and start him. He's going up against the Browns. Middle of the pack, kind of whatever. But yeah, so regardless of the matchup, Jacoby Myers is just a target hog on this offense. And we don't know about Mac Jones' status quite yet, I believe. But either way, we saw him last week get plenty of targets with Zappy under center. So no matter what, I'm throwing Jacoby Myers in my starting lineup. So now that he's active, go ahead and throw him in. It looks like he's been, so Mac Jones has been ruled out for this week. So, but regardless, I'm okay with starting Jacoby Myers. And obviously, you're starting Ramondre Stevenson. Okay, here's the Mac Jones news. Damian Harris inactive, so this is why we're starting Ramondre Stevenson. And honestly, I'm cool with starting Ramondre Stevenson from here on out. I think that he continues to take touches away from Damian Harris, even when he is active. So Ramondre Stevenson, you're starting this week, and not thinking twice about it. But now with Damian Harris not there, it's one of the best plays you can do this week. And this is why we have the Browns as one of the worst rush defenses in the league, and Ramondre Stevenson is not going to be sharing touches for the most part. He's not going to have every single touch, but he will have the majority of the touches, and that's something that we're going to look for. When you have a bell cow usage like that, that's kind of rare in today's NFL, so that's an easy start and a top 10 start at that. T. Higgins is a little scary because of what happened last week. He went in for a play and didn't play for the rest of the game. So even though he is active, I think you could play him. I don't think they do that twice in a row where they say he's active and he doesn't play, but I will say it's a little bit scary. And if I was the owner and I had a option that was 10% less enticing if T. Higgins was fully active or fully healthy, I'd probably go ahead and play that 10% active person. Like an Isaiah McKenzie in the matchup with Kansas City Chiefs. I think I'd be more comfortable starting him just because T. Higgins, you really can't afford another goose egg on your starting lineup. So this makes me a little bit nervous. That all being said, obviously when he does play and he's healthy, he has a very high ceiling and a very high floor as well. So it's kind of a gamble that you're taking here that he even plays, even though it says he's active. So just take that into your decision making when you make your decision for T. Higgins. Deion Jackson, kind of a flex play. Not super excited about it, but there is no Hines or Taylor. So when push comes to shove, it's someone you might be able to grab off of your waiver wire even right now. But Deion Jackson starting, Kyle Pitts starting. I think I would throw him in my lineup regardless of the slow start to the season. Benjamin is a smash play this week. I think he's pretty much directly interchangeable from James Conner. And honestly, he's probably in a better situation than James Conner would be in just because he is going to get pretty much every single touch in the backfield as opposed to James Conner splitting with Eno Benjamin on the passing down. So we like Eno Benjamin right here. Devontae Adams. I saw this morning where Devontae Adams isn't going to get any disciplinary action from the NFL until his court date is done. And I think his court date is November 10th. I think that's when they start to go through all the legal procedures. So it's looking like Devontae Adams is going to be active right away after the bye week. And he'll be active for a few weeks after that. So I think if anything, he gets a 1-game suspension. We talked about this in the wide receiver ranking videos. But I think he gets a 1-game suspension. If anything, I honestly could see him just getting fined as well because I think a lot of times they stay out of the legal jargon to not get mixed up in it, let that kind of work itself out. Because what will probably happen is since he has a misdemeanor charge, he'll settle for maybe $100,000, and they'll just close it at that. And if the NFL knows he's paying $100,000 fine to this guy, and then they'll probably charge him another $100,000, potentially have him out a week. But I wouldn't be too worried about this. And this isn't something that you want to. This isn't something that you want to overreact to if you do own him. Now, if you don't own him, this honestly might be a trade target situation because this is probably the lowest value that Davante Adams will have for the rest of the season. So you're not going to get him for dirt cheap, but just the fact that the owner is knowing that there's a looming suspension and he has a bye week this week, you might be able to swing that just kind of real fast. But I'm not too worried about Davante Adams, and that's coming from me being a Davante Adams owner. Andy Dalton starting. Moving on. Zappy likely to start. Gus Edwards not activated, but him coming back as a Ravens fan is super exciting. J.K. Dobbins is really good as a committee with Gus Edwards, but he definitely needs that committee, and just the amount of times the Ravens run on that offense, they need 2 running backs in the backfield. So Gus Edwards coming back soon is very nice if you're a Ravens fan. I don't think there's a whole lot of fantasy implications here for J.K. Dobbins or Gus Edwards. I don't think you want to be playing Gus Edwards, and I don't think Gus Edwards' role affects J.K. Dobbins' role at all, just because he will be taking that role from Kenyon Drake and whoever else was sprinkled in there running it. So that's really exciting. Damien, honestly, this is probably a good thing for J.K. Dobbins, if anything. Dak Prescott won't play. We knew that. CeeDee Lamb is listed as questionable on ESPN's fantasy, but he is going to play, or at least he's expected to. So I don't think I'm tempering my expectations a whole lot with this injury just because it came up so late in the week, and right when it came out, they said he was expected to play still. So it might just be kind of a R&R type thing. So I'm really not too worried about this for productivity or longevity. What else we got? Yeah, this is all just the expected stuff from a few days ago. So a couple other guys that are listed as questionable on ESPN are Tyler Higbee, which he's going to play, so go ahead and start him, or at least he should be. Keep an eye out, but he should be playing. We have Melvin Gordon, as we talked about earlier on in the show. I mean, he has one of the best matchups of the week actually has the best matchup of the week with the Chargers allowing 32 fantasy points per game to the running back position. And he will have that lead down or that lead back role on the Denver Broncos for Monday night. But that's the issue, is that it is on a Monday night. And if we ride out and assume that Melvin Gordon will be starting, we don't start anyone in place of him on Sunday. And then Monday during the day, it comes out that Melvin Gordon isn't going to play. There's not really that many options to replace him at that point. So it's a little bit scary. I'm not really sure what I'll be doing at this point. I'm going to make a decision before the 4 o'clock game because I have Isaiah McKenzie. So if I take Melvin Gordon out of my flex, I'll be putting Isaiah McKenzie in his place. But I'm hoping news comes out before then. But I'm not super comfortable with it. So I don't really know what I'm going to do in that scenario. I might look at the waiver wires first and see if I even have someone to grab in the event that he doesn't play. Full PPR, Mike Boone or Rondale Moore. I would say Rondale Moore just because... I mean, you kind of came in at the perfect time because we were just talking about Melvin Gordon and not being too sure. I think if Melvin Gordon does play, I would definitely play Rondale Moore. But that's a decision that we have to make. Because what time is that game? So you can make the decision when I do, because I'm doing the same thing. And just treat Rondale Moore as your Isaiah McKenzie, because I'm hoping we get news before 4 o'clock, one way or the other with Melvin Gordon. And if we get news before 4 o'clock that Melvin Gordon will be playing, definitely start Rondale Moore. If we get news that Melvin Gordon is not playing, I would definitely start Mike Boone. If we don't get any news at all, I think to be safe, you play Rondale Moore. I think the Cardinals-Seahawks game is going to be a very high-scoring game, so there will be plenty of targets to go around. The Cardinals run the most amount of plays in the entire NFL, so there's plenty of targets to go around. So if there's no news, play Rondale Moore. Absolutely. Thanks for stopping by, bro. Okay, so we're just going to get into this main slate draft. I think, yeah, we'll do this one. So let's just get into this. Last week, we did pretty well. I mean, we didn't win a big amount of money, but we got our money back plus like a couple bucks or something. So, and I've been liking this a little bit more than DraftKings for whatever reason. I think the draft or the draft aspect of it is exciting. Now you got to remember, in this league, we only have a quarterback starting, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a running back, and a flex. So what I like to do, or at least what I did last week that really worked out for me, is to go for 3 very solid wide receivers first and foremost, and grab 1 running back. I don't want my flex to be a running back. But let's see what we get. Isaiah McKenzie, Duvernay, or Pickett's in the flex. I think McKenzie is your safest bet. Because Duvernay has a tough matchup here, and McKenzie's going to be in that Buffalo Bills Kansas City Chiefs game where I know that Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs both are in front of McKenzie on the depth chart, but we see Josh Allen target his slot receiver quite a bit, and in this matchup, I think it's going to be 80-plus point games, or it's an 80-plus point game score between the two teams, and I think you want any part of that you can get. I think you meant Pickens there, which Pickens, I think I want to see one more week. I have him on every single one of my rosters, so I'm not speaking. I'm kind of speaking with what I'm doing with Pickens, and I'm waiting one more week to see what happens because I still don't have a whole lot of confidence in Pickett. Lamar Jackson. Let's do Stephon Diggs while we're at it. Get a piece of that Kansas City game. I think Duvernay has the most guaranteed targets, though. I will say that. I just think that McKenzie has probably the highest floor and ceiling between these 3 players. You could probably argue that Pickens has a higher ceiling, but just with the amount of points that are going to be scored this game, I think we're going McKenzie. All right, so we have Diggs. I'm hoping that Patrick Mahomes falls to us, but I'm not expecting it. That being said, if Justin Jefferson falls to us, that would be intriguing. I think I'm going to try to shoot for... I kind of want Alvin Kamara this week, being that Chris Olave and... Oh, see, this is tough. Do we take Patrick Mahomes or Justin Jefferson? I feel like we have to take Justin Jefferson, right? I mean, I would love Patrick Mahomes in that matchup, but Justin Jefferson and Stephon Diggs to start the roster out, I think is perfect. We go for Alvin Kamara. Let's see. We have 16 and 21. Did Kamara go? Where's Kamara at? See, we might be able to do Kyler Murray and Alvin Kamara. I kind of like that. And then we'll stack Kyler Murray with Zach Ertz potentially. Duvernay is wide receiver 1, though. I'm scared Buffalo has more weapons than McKenzie. So this is what I'm saying. Like, it definitely depends on the rest of your lineup. Because if you're looking for that safer play, which it kind of sounds like you are just based on the way you're asking the question, it sounds like you want that safer play, which, like I said, I think Duvernay is definitely the safer play. He's going to have guaranteed touches through the air, and he will be running the ball a little bit as well. Because I'm a big Ravens fan, and we don't have Gus Edwards back. Kenyon Drake looks disgusting. So we saw Duvernay run the ball last week. I think we see it again, kind of like a poor man's Debo. So if you're looking for that safer bet, I think Duvernay is... I'm between those two. If I'm searching for the ceiling, I'm going for McKenzie. But if you just want pretty much a solid 10 points, I think Duvernay is your safest bet here. Shakir possibly even to compete. I don't think Shakir is going to be an issue. I know he did good last week, but I'm not too worried about him taking touches away from... taking touches away from McKenzie. Lockett or Godwin? I think the safer answer here is Lockett, just based off of what they've been doing. I think that's going to be a very high scoring game, but I can't get over the fact that... Hold on. I can't get over the fact that Pittsburgh's entire secondary basically is gone. Minka Fitzpatrick's not starting, and I think 2 of their starting corners also aren't starting. So I love the matchup in Pittsburgh, and I don't think Tampa Bay or Tom Brady is the type of guy to, or the type of team to let off if they're winning. I think they just, Kamar got taken. I think they just put their foot on their neck and just drive him into the ground. So I honestly like Godwin more here, even though history has been showing that Tyler Lockett's the better play. Who just got taken? Dalvin Cook, DK Metcalf, Gabe Davis. Do we go with DK or Taysom Hill? Oh, I just ruined. I mean, that's what I get. That's what I get for not queuing somebody up. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I don't have a clock here, so I didn't know how much time I had, and I just accidentally picked a second Buffalo Bill. So that sucks. This team's probably thrown. That's unfortunate. I should have went with Taysom Hill. I was kind of waiting for the Zach Ertz stack with Kyler Murray, so I'm going to grab him if I can, but I'm not going to be surprised if he goes off the board here. After that, I'll be looking for Breece Hall, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make it to us either. But I think I just kind of threw this team away, to be honest with you. I mean, it's definitely possible that this makes us money back because of the Gabe Davis. I think he had 35 points last week, and maybe a little less than 30 in a half PPR league, and then Stephon Diggs probably had like 14. So it's possible, but I don't think Gabe Davis's performance last week repeats itself. So probably threw this team on accident. I'll blame the clock, though, because it can't be my fault. Impossible. You high on Deion Jackson? I got him flex in 2 leagues. I'm definitely not high on him. I will say that. Let's look at the matchup real quick. We have Colts versus Jags. The Jags have been showing like they play well against the running back position. I don't know, though. Their defense was looking good. They had a really hot start, but they have been slacking the past 2 weeks, so it's actually looking like 25.5 is the amount of points they allow to the running back position. Now, what I will say with Deion Jackson is he's the only person in the backfield, so you're pretty much talking 13 guaranteed touches no matter what. So if you're looking for a safe play, Deion Jackson I think is going to give you 10 points for sure. And then he probably has a ceiling of like 20. So I like Deion Jackson, especially if it's in the flex in a 12-team league. I think Deion Jackson's fine. I'm not like super excited about it. Like I'm more excited about Eno Benjamin this week. But I think that Deion Jackson is very solid. If you guys are new to the channel, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and ringing the notification bell. We go live every Sunday before the football game. I think next week we have a London game, so like we did last week, we're going to go live around 8 or 8:30, and then we do wide receiver and running back ranking videos on Tuesday, Wednesday, and or Thursday. So go ahead and show some support if you guys are enjoying your time here. But we're going to get into some pick'ems here. I like to do the 5-leg parlay on stream. I'll probably do another one that's like a 3-leg parlay with insurance. But for right now, just on the stream, I like kind of shooting for gold. So I think we'll do a 5-leg parlay, $5 entry, looking for a $100 payout. So 3 receptions for Devin Duvernay, who, if you're still in this chat, like I think I'm going to take that. Like I do think he has a very solid 1.5 rushing yards. What? I'm taking that. 1.5 rushing yards. If he runs the ball one time, I think, how many rushing yards did he have last week? They're going to do it again. Where are the Ravens last week? Devin Duvernay, 24 rushing yards on 3 carries. Yeah, I'm taking that. Taking the 1.5 rushing yard. 1.5 field goals made. Yeah, I really want McKenzie, but Duvernay is wide receiver 1 without Bateman. Yeah, so I like I said, I think McKenzie has the highest ceiling, but I think Duvernay's the safer bet by far, so I don't hate that at all. Not at all. All right. Daniel Jones, half an interception. I don't like betting on, well, I already bet on the Ravens, but I don't like betting on games with the Ravens just because I think even if I try to take the bias out of it, it's impossible. New Orleans, 1.5 passing touchdowns. Kind of like that. I like that a lot. Because I just keep waiting for the get right game for the Bengals. They've been underproducing, but it's not going to stay like that. And I just don't know if it's going to be at the hands of Joe Mixon or Joe Burrow. If it's going to be at the hands of Joe Burrow, 1.5 passing touchdowns sounds great. We'll throw it in there for now. And if we like something more later, we'll take it out. All right. Receiving yards. T. Higgins is very scary, especially if he's on a redraft redraft league. Starting him right this week is very scary based on what happened last week, and I'm definitely not confident doing it at all. If you need the ceiling, you can, but like I would never take this 51.5. He definitely could score way more than this, but I'm not going to risk him coming in for one play and sitting for the rest of the game again. That underdog lineup would have been so good if I picked Taysom Hill there instead of accidentally picking Gabe Davis. That hurts. I think Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill. I can't go 32.5 rushing yards, though. Damn it. I think that Alvin Kamara is in a really good position this week. Do we have a line for... We don't have a line for Jarvis Landry? Is Jarvis Landry out? No way, right? Week 6? Is Jarvis Landry really out? He's out. Oh my God. Oh. That makes me hurt even more. Which means I'm definitely going to bet on Alvin Kamara in this. 60.5 rushing yards or 33.5 receiving. I think we go receiving. I wish there was more lines for Taysom Hill, but only got the rushing yard stat, and I could see him having 3 touchdowns with 10 yards. Like, I don't think he's a guy that needs the yardage to produce. Breece Hall at 2.5 receptions. Yes, please. Yes, please. I'll take that every single time. Although, didn't he only have 2 receptions last week? He had 2 receptions for 100 yards. 2 receptions for 100 yards. I think he gets to, I don't know. That actually makes me a little bit nervous. I think I'm going to skip the Jets. Green Bay. I think this could be a get right game for Green Bay. Like, I think Aaron Rodgers comes back pissed. So let's bet on the town with Joe Burrow and Aaron Rodgers. Same exact bet. But I just think that they're in a get-right game scenario. Both of them coming off a loss to the Ravens for Joe Burrow, coming off to a loss of the New York Giants for Aaron Rodgers. I think they both throw 2 touchdowns. Tom Brady. I have a bet that I've been making very frequently is Tom Brady pass attempts. Because even when Leonard Fournette gets his work, it's all through the air. He had 35 pass attempts last week. 52 last week. And if you look at... Let's see. Is this the season? Oh, we don't get attempts here? Here we go. 52, 52, 42, 34, 27. And he didn't have his receivers in these first 2 games. I'm going over for that again. Half a rushing touchdown. Let's see if we like anything else. Jalen Warren, 20.5 rushing yards. Like, I don't even hate that. I'm not going to ever bet on Jalen Warren, but this Najee Harris situation is just so sad. It's so sad. I that's coming from someone that didn't even draft Najee Harris in any of my leagues. It's just sad to watch because I had him last year, and I knew this was potentially going to be the case. I didn't know it was going to be this bad, though. The silver lining is hopefully it's just because of his injury and he gets back to the volume workload or at least close to what he had last year, but I just don't see it. With Kenny Pickett having the legs he does, I really don't see it. We're looking to see what happens with George Pickens this week. We saw Deontay Johnson still get 13 targets last week, even with George Pickens outproducing him in fantasy. So it may be a scenario where both of them are going to be relevant moving forward, but I'm still waiting to see if George Pickens is taking that 1A role, because that's the only scenario where I feel comfortable starting him in a lineup, is if he is that 1A. Just because the offense is so bad, I don't think that Kenny Pickett can support both receivers being good good fantasy options week in and week out. I think you're going to have to pick one. All right, Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, keep me away from that. Good on all of it. Honestly, the San Francisco 49er offense is just something I would try to stay away from it completely if I can. Aside from George Kittle, just because of the landscape of the tight end position. There's, George Kittle is pretty much as good as it gets if your name's not Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce. Or out there, Dallas Goedert in there as well. And Tyler Higbee. They're all more reliable, but odds are you don't have a chance of starting George Kittle and or one of them. So for me, it's George Kittle or Kyle Pitts. So I'm starting George Kittle. But even for trading for a Deebo Samuel, I think you have to pay premium price for a top tier wide receiver. But I just don't believe in the productivity of this offense. Now, I will say this week specifically, I think Deebo Samuel is in a great spot to succeed because he's, their backfield is looking a little bit rough. I know Jeff Wilson's been looking decent, but I think going up against a really bad offense or a bad defense, Deebo Samuel is going to have a lot of touches on the ground as well as through the air. So I think he's in a good spot to succeed this week. But I just am not one that can go out there and give premium wide receiver pricing for Deebo Samuel with a Jimmy Garoppolo-led offense. If you bet anything on the Atlanta Falcons, make sure it's the lower. This is such a bad matchup for both sides. And I mean both sides for the Falcons being the running game and the wide receiving or the receiving game. Kyle Pitts is active if you were wondering. I think this is actually, hold on. I'm going to replace this with something. Half a rushing or receiving touchdown for Ramondre Stevenson. I think this is a really good bet. It's just what do we want to replace? All right. Tell me in the comments if we should replace Devin Duvernay or Joe Burrow for this Ramondre Stevenson line. Devin Duvernay or Joe Burrow for the wide receiving line. We also have him at 104 rushing plus receiving yards, 85 rushing yards, or a touchdown. I think I'm going to go this. I'm going to take the Joe Burrow one away and go rushing yards. All right, so we have Devin Duvernay at 1.5 rushing yards. We have Alvin Kamara at 33.5 receiving yards. We have Aaron Rodgers at 1.5. Oh, this is rushing yards. What the hell? All right. That is not what I wanted. I misread that completely. We have Tom Brady at 38.5 passing attempts, and we have Ramondre Stevenson at 85.5 rushing yards, and we're looking for one more. I thought I had Aaron Rodgers at 1.5 plus passing touchdowns, but I had rushing yards, which I'm definitely not betting on Aaron Rodgers rushing yards. Deion Jackson, 42.5 rushing yards. Let's see. All right, let's go back and just take our Joe Burrow bet, honestly. Darrell Henderson, 2.5 receptions, 10 rushing yards, 19.5 receiving yards. I could just blindly bet on the Cooper over. Interceptions, passing touchdowns, total yards. All right. I think I'm going to go back and just do the Joe Burrow 1.5 passing touchdowns and call it a day. We like that going into it, and we replace it, but we're gonna take it back. All right. So the last leg is 1.5 passing touchdowns. So 1.5 rushing yards for Devin Duvernay, 33.5 receiving yards for Alvin Kamara, 38.5 passing attempts for Tom Brady, 85.5 rushing yards for Ramondre Stevenson, and 1.5 passing touchdowns for Joe Burrow. All the over. I'm gonna go ahead and submit it on camera just to see if I get demonetized for it. So we're gonna throw that into the mix, see what happens. But that's that. So we're just about a half an hour away from kickoff. I hope you guys are all prepared. I hope the fantasy gods are on everybody's side today. I think we all need it. Whether you're 1-4, 2-3, or a winning team, make sure you're making moves to set yourself up for the future or the right now, depending on if you're winning or losing. I'm rooting for all you guys. Hopefully you're making the right decisions heading into the week. You have 30 more minutes to decide who you're starting. But until Tuesday, I'll see you guys then. And good luck on